today's message, I've got 2 points that I'm trying to make. The first point is, are you reaching your potential? The second point is, what is your aim? First point can be found in Luke 13 verses 6 through 9, and I'll just read it real quick. So this is Jesus speaking, and he's speaking a parable. He spake also this parable: a certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought some fruit thereon, and found none. Then said he also unto the dresser of his vineyard, Behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground? And he answering said unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I dig about it, and dung it. And if it bear fruit, well. And if not, then after thou shalt cut it down. You've got a situation where there's an owner of a garden. In his garden, he's got a fig tree. And he employs a gardener to look after his garden. He comes looking for some figs on this fig tree in his garden. First question: why does he come looking for figs on the fig tree? He comes looking for figs on the fig tree because he's expecting to see figs. The reason why he's expecting to see figs is because the fig tree has the potential to produce figs. It has the capability to produce figs, but it doesn't just have the capability to produce figs, it should be producing figs. Not only should it be producing figs, it's come to the time of year where the gardener should be eating the produce of his trees. Sorry, the owner should be eating the produce of his trees. So you've got a situation then where the fig tree hasn't reached its full potential. Now the reason why it hasn't reached its full potential isn't the fault of the owner. It's the fault of the tree itself. Because the tree hasn't made use of the resources that it's had through the year. Because figs aren't produced overnight. They're produced over a process of time. And if you haven't used the resources necessary over the process of time, then it won't have produced the figs necessary through that time period. So you've got a situation then where the fig tree hasn't reached its full potential. The primary point of the passage is Jesus is speaking about the Jews in that time period. And in that time period, the Jews hadn't produced the fruit that God would have them to see. The other point of the passage is that in our lives, God is looking for us to produce fruit. The reason why he's looking for us to produce fruit is because he's expecting us to produce fruit, because he believes in us. Even when we haven't produced fruit, he's still looking for us to produce fruit because he expects us to, because he believes in us, because we've got the potential to through his power. The question is, are you experiencing your potential? Are you experiencing your potential, or are you wasting the resources that God has given you? Now apparently this is exam season. And in exam season, there's a season for revision and there's a season for results. In the season for revision, don't use the time allotted to you in wasting God's resources. So that goes into my aim. There's a potential that you can reach that maybe you haven't achieved because you haven't used the resources allotted to you. So the question is, what's your aim? Now you'll see how these are interlinked. I used to play this game years ago. It's a football game. And in the football game, you sort of have to arrange your team and you're facing an opponent. So what you do is, in the football game, what I used to do, if I'm facing somebody new, I put loads of defenders in. And now the reason why I put loads of defenders in is because I want to stop the other team, who I don't know how they play, from scoring goals. So I put loads of defenders in. So I'm putting loads of defenders in this one time, and my friend says, Sam, why are you putting so many defenders in? Because I've never played this guy before, so I want to make sure that I don't lose. That was my aim. I don't want to lose. He's like, Sam, that's interesting. When I'm playing someone new, what I do is I put loads of attackers in. He says, the reason why I put loads of attackers in is because I want to win. My aim is, I didn't want to lose. His aim was, I want to win. Now apparently it's exam season. And the question is, what's your aim? Because your aim will define your method. Is your aim simply to scrape through, or is it God's glory? If you're just trying to get through, then that's fine, you may get through, you may not get through, but if it's God's glory, there's power available to you. And the power that's available to you is the same power that was available to the woman caught in adultery. What do I mean? When the woman was caught in adultery, Jesus said a couple things to her. A couple of the things that he said to her was, neither do I condemn thee. And then he said, go and sin no more. Okay, so what am I talking about? What's exams got to do with adultery? Primarily nothing. But get the point that I'm trying to make. Jesus says to her, neither do I condemn thee. Why could he say that to her? He could say that to her because he was going to take the condemnation himself. Then he says to her, go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. How can you tell a sinner to stop sinning? That doesn't make any sense. That's what a sinner does. A sinner sins. That's like telling a layman, somebody who's lame, take up your bed and walk. In order for the person that's lame to take up their bed and walk, what happens is that they hear the words of Jesus Christ. And through faith, they believe what Jesus is telling them. And even though their past history has said, I can't do it, I've not been able to do it, but through faith they believe the words that Jesus Christ is telling them. So they latch onto those words and try something new that they haven't tried before. They try to walk in Jesus' power. And as they try to walk in Jesus' power, what happens is that they find in them the ability to walk, even though the ability isn't within themselves, it's through the power of Jesus Christ. Perhaps your history has been one of procrastination. And you've tried to control yourself, but you found yourself unable to control yourself. Perhaps your history has been one of just time wasting in whatever the format. Or perhaps you've come to a situation where you've got exams, but now there's these other external pressures. You've got family commitments, you've got things just going up. I don't know what your situation is. But I'm saying that if you go into this for God's glory, God will empower you to glorify Him. And God's word is what you need. And as you submit to His word, and through His word, direct your life in a way whereby I'm trying to do these exams for the glory of God, then what happens is that there's power available. Maybe you're in a place where in my past exam time, what happened was that I was in a situation where I was just procrastinating. And that was this season. And like the last time, the fig tree owner came looking for figs. He found none, but he gave mercy anyway. He gave mercy anyway. This time, you had mercy. Last time, you had mercy. This time, you don't want to let that thing happen again. But you want to have a different aim. The aim that you want is, I want to do this for the glory of God, so that my exams can be a witness. I'm not necessarily aiming for an A, I'm just aiming to give 100% of what I have. I'm going to give 100%. I'm going to focus on addition and let God deal with multiplication. If that's you, make a commitment for doing all for the glory of God. And as you try to do all to the glory of God, because that's what God's word said, what happens is that as you try to do that through faith, God will give you the power to do all for His glory. I hope this encourages somebody, and I hope it made sense to somebody else. Thank you.
Simple song, not just from your lips.